Well, Tesla shares are dropping on news of its first quarter vehicle delivery and production numbers. The company delivered around 387,000 vehicles. The Bloomberg consensus estimates that number was 449,000. Now, the EV maker is saying that the decline in volume was driven by supply side issues, including factory shutdowns stemming from tensions in the Red Sea conflict, as well as an attack on its Berlin gigafactory. Now, let's bring in our guest to discuss whether the issue here is supply or demand. Larry Goldberg, entrepreneur, Tesla investor, and VC angel. Thank you for joining us here today. Your expectations for this number were to the downside, a disappointment, and then I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the final number was even lower. So what do these numbers mean to you?
Yeah, it was a big downside disappointment for me. The numbers, I'm not a fan of the issue of these delivery numbers being so important, because I'm a long-term investor in Tesla. I have a scenario that shows there are multiple different businesses coming to fruition, particularly the energy business and in addition, the Optimus business. So for me, the quarterly results are not as important as the trends and where they're going. So we're seeing, the introduction of a new model in Fremont, the refreshed Model 3, just beginning to crank up. So we don't have production from there. We see the Cybertruck just beginning to get underway, and that's been a very promising launch, by the way. So I expect that we're going to see 100,000 Cybertrucks delivered this year, and I think that's going to have a huge impact on performance for the year. So we're in we're in transition mode. We were warned that this is between waves. That was the CFO's phrase in the last earnings call. So I expected a down quarter, not as far down as this, but Suez may have had an impact on it, as well as the startup of the new Model 3 in the factory in Fremont.
I noticed that you talked about the importance of trends, but we are seeing a trend of declines in EV sales, and this is just kind of the latest example of that. So if you are a long-term investor, doesn't a drop in demand that we are seeing through today's numbers start to scare you a little?
No, this talk about the drop in demand for EVs, if you actually look at the real numbers globally, the global numbers are actually quite promising. We are reaching a tipping level in many European countries, and we certainly reached that tipping level in China. Now, China's got its own economic woes, and that has an impact on sales in general of vehicles. And so, EVs will follow that path. But we are seeing globally EVs reaching the tipping point against ICE cars. So I don't agree with the general impression or the knock on EVs at the moment. I think we're going to see continued growth in EV sales, and we are seeing continued growth in EV sales.
Larry, I want to talk about full service driving, something basically in a generic sense it's been promised for a long time, and it seems like we're finally on the cusp of it. How close are we, number one, and how big an opportunity is this for some of the auto players?
Full self-driving is really an important, it is a critical step, and a step that is going to transform Tesla dramatically. And we're close. The problem is nobody is able to tell you how close, because nobody's ever done it before. I have the latest version of full self-driving. I drove it before I left the United States last night. It is an amazing piece of software. It is truly amazing, and it's transformative. It is dramatically different than the previous versions of full self-driving. It really feels like it's thinking. It really feels like it's human. It has human-like tendencies. How far we are away? I guessed last year between 1 and 3 years. I would say that guess remains there. I think we're, within 1 to 2 years of seeing Tesla declare, a level 5 and start taking responsibility. And, I'm in Europe right now, and I was in New York, passing through New York last night. The number of taxi cabs and Ubers that are Teslas are quite amazing here in Europe and in the United States. So it looks like the Tesla is a really good fit for a taxi cab. And so the robo-taxi opportunity for Tesla is just, it transforms the company by several orders of magnitude. That's just one of the opportunities in the Tesla, opportunity book.
Right, and barring a lot of potential headwinds here in the US, at least before that can hit kind of a broader market. But having said that, I want to end on a little bit more of a philosophical question. We've got about 60 seconds left for you here on this. Is Tesla a tech company or a car company?
That's an excellent question. It's clearly a tech company, but it's a tech company that differs from all other tech companies in that it has manufacturing smarts that cannot be equaled by any manufacturing company in the United States, and China are copying Tesla. So that's the big differentiator between Tesla and any other tech company in the world.
Larry, this was fun. Thank you so much for joining us. Larry Goldberg, entrepreneur, Tesla investor, and VC angel as well. Really appreciate it.